Good morning, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew had no expectations of you being in studio today, but because of the debacle at what I'm calling the peak, you're here.
Yeah, Chesapeake Bay Elite Series stop number 8 postponed. Can you say indefinitely? Because they haven't come out with a new date yet due to massive flooding across the region and alleged unsafe boating conditions. So what was going to be a pivotal Elite Series tournament with just one regular season event remaining, and then also keeping an eye on the FLW Costa Series up on Lake Erie, where there were 40 bags over 20 pounds on day 1. Now there's no fishing. I am back in Oklahoma as the FLW event was canceled due to high winds out of Buffalo on Lake Erie, and
which
tomorrow
is
doesn't look much better either. So there's no fishing. I made flight alterations, spent all day in the air yesterday, and then back in studio on Friday after leaving the great state of Oklahoma on Tuesday. Yeah. Going out and filming Duckett on tour on Wednesday with Big Show Terry Scroggins, and then promptly flying home Thursday morning.
All right, great show today, folks. We're going to have 2 big-time names in the game on the show live via Skype today. We're going to have Boyd Duckett on, get his take on some of the stuff that's going on in the bass fishing world. Also get his thoughts on what went down at the peak. And then later in the show, this one might be a long one. This might be a long show, Matthew.
Okay.
Later on in the show, around 9:45 Central Time, we're going to have Mike Iaconelli on live via Skype to discuss not only what went down at the peak, but yesterday, big announcement, his new show on NatGeo Wild. If you read the press release, we had it on BassZone.com. Pretty interesting format in his new show, and we're going to talk to him about that. And obviously, the instant feedback's going to be rolling up there, so you have opportunities to ask these guys questions. But I'm really curious to get Mike's take on the peak.
Would you consider that, I guess, one of his home fisheries growing up? Probably one of the, what would you have to throw? Lefebvre in there, Rick Morris, maybe Adrian Avina. He's
maybe
from
John
Jersey
Cruz.
there. John Cruz. But out of those 5 guys, those are the guys who had the most experience and history on the Chesapeake Bay. So.
Yeah, so we'll get his take on that. And then also, when you look at the bodies of water that Mike fished, obviously it's already in the can.
Well, we're talking about, this is the show that he teased for like 4 months when he almost wasn't able to fish the Sabine River, and then ended up coming, kind of had to keep it under hush because of, I guess, what, network requirements. Yeah. So they came out with it. And
it's called Fish My City. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the premieres, crazy places. I mean, he went to Taiwan, New York City, New Orleans, where else? Florida,
Miami, Austin, New York,
London.
Yeah.
So can't wait to pick his brain and have him hopefully give us a little bit more insight on what it was like filming all across the nation, really all across the world with this new project.
It will premiere on October 12th globally in 140 countries, 38 languages. That sounds like an FLW press release.
Well, I believe me, NatGeo Wild goes a lot of places. You know what their #1 show is?
Yes, you're obsessed with this guy.
Have you watched it? Seriously?
I mean, I know what it is. It's like a eccentric veterinarian who like delivers cows at midnight and goes in and does a bunch of that Dr. Pole.
He's awesome, man.
I don't understand because you're not a.
I'm not.
You're not an animal guy. You're not a. You didn't grow up on a farm. You don't have any linking to nature or wildlife, so to speak. Yeah. I mean, you only fish under premium conditions.
I don't know. I'm
like this.
very interested in Dr. Pole.
You're not too old. I mean, how old are you now? 52?
55.
55? Yeah. I mean, you still have time for a second career. What's vet schools?
No.
How long
I'm trying to do the teaching gig.
Did you pass your test?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't get an immediate...
No, because there's 3 essays.
Okay.
The test was 4 hours, Matthew. Did I tell you this?
Yeah.
Just real quick, 4 hours. I spent 2.5 on the essays.
Now, do you write the essays or do you type it?
No, you type.
You type? Did you
No.
use all cap like your
No.
and a lot of dots like you do in your text messages?
No, I did not. No. Quite very a lot of theory. The questions were totally into a lot of theory.
You don't have a copy of that, do you?
No.
I would love to.
No.
Love to make that available to our viewers to see what your theory essays were.
I don't know if I get a copy of it or not. I don't know.
Speaking of theories.
All right. We need to get into the discussion right now about what went down. This has been the craziest season that I can remember on the Bassmaster Elite Series. And honestly, Matthew, this thing at the Chesapeake Bay, it was kind of doomed from the beginning when the community that was going to host it originally said, nah, we don't want it.
And I think that had to do with a lot of obviously political stuff, but also what kind of happened to the grounds the last time the Elite Series was there. There was also some pushback from commercial fishermen who went out of that area who said that it hurt their business with all the boats and traffic that were around for that week back in 2015.
So they had to move it. ELO had to get to work.
Eric Lopez, an events coordinator over there, who does a great job and who I texted and said it's been a crazy 24 hours. Imagine that. But yeah, so they move it over by the Aberdeen Proving Grounds.
Which was like a nuclear waste site or something?
Yeah, they did like tests on monkeys, and there's all these abandoned wells over there. And just Google that after the show, the Aberdeen Proving Grounds.
Yeah.
So they move it over there, and then it starts raining last week.
And raining some more.
To the point where BWI, where I was flying into, was closed 2 days before I was supposed to fly in.
It was closed for multiple days,
because of the weather and the rain up in that region. Record rain, like 10, 11 inches. This is before practice start. And during, as these guys were coming in to begin practice for the tournament and the first day of the tournament on a fishery that is fed by rivers, but historically has not gone nuts like it did.
Been blown out.
Right. Where do you want to go with this? I'll let you lead this conversation.
Let me say this first, all right? You were actually on the water Wednesday.
Correct.
So why don't you tell people just kind of what the conditions were like on Wednesday in the areas that you saw, that you witnessed on Wednesday?
Now, obviously, where they're taking out of now was probably about 20 miles from where I was on the water filming the Duckett on tour, which you can see after every Elite Series go out on the water the final day following anglers through the tournament. So I was out with Big Show, Terry Scroggins, for that. So we ended up putting in at the, or he ended up putting in, and I filmed it, at the ramp where the Elites took out of last year, or 3 years ago in 2015.
Right.
Which was high, underwater. I mean, the dock was barely usable. You could use it, but I mean, it was way up. Water was muddy right there. And it's, couple mile drive out to the Susquehanna Flats where the majority of the competitors, and it was no secret that was going to play big.
Right.
And I guess on the first day, those guys could get up in the Susquehanna and fish some of the rivers and stuff, and it wasn't complete chaos. There's a lot of current, 2.5 mile an hour current, but the flats were actually clear. And I don't know if any of that footage will ever make it out from the Duckett on tour that we did, but there were at one point about 30 boats out there on the flats. But as the tide started to drop, you could see the grass down there. It was clean. Some guys were
fishable water.
100% fishable water. And this was on the last day of practice. I mean, the tournament started on Thursday, but you could see the bridge there going up in the Susquehanna. And Terry said, I had some fish up there the first day, and it's blown out now. Not planning on going up, but they thought the flats would be decent. And I guess the major factor from what I can gather is they opened up all the gates up there. And that really pushed a lot of debris and a lot of nasty junk, floaters, logs, trash down, and it started creeping out into the flats. As Wednesday went, you could tell the flats got smaller and smaller, the areas that you couldn't actually talk to another angler. We left around noon, talked to another angler who stayed out on the flats until the last possible minute, 3 p.m., because he was not having a good day and was not catching very many fish, so he needed every second of practice he could get. And he said at right around 3, the flat started getting trashed because that water was making out. The tide was sucking the mud out of it. And so he thought maybe 30, 45 guys would zero on day one if they had it. But really, talking to the guys and going to the meeting, there was no talk of canceling, postponing, not having the tournament. It's not a weather deal. It could be bright and sunny. You're talking about stuff that they knew was coming and knew was going to get progressively worse each day of the tournament. And everyone was still, putting their helmets on, buckling the chin straps, and hoping to go out there and catch 2 or 3 fish.
In fact, there were people that actually showed up to the ramp on Thursday morning.
So this is where it gets interesting. So they have the meeting, and Dave and I did not go to the meeting, so I don't know exactly what was said. I talked to some guys who went to the meeting and said it was interesting. And then this is the first time I heard of it was at like 10:45 p.m. David Mullins tweets or Instagram photos a screenshot of the official bass. They all have a number, and Bass has it on their staff. It tells them what their pairing is, their number, who their marshal is, what flight they're doing, and it said, attention, tournament's been postponed, no tournament due to unsafe conditions. So I'm like, I wonder if this is, Mullen's been known to play a trick or two on the old interweb. So I thought maybe he was just kind of stirring the pot, but then no, and then Bass came out with it on Twitter and stuff. And I think it was right after minutes like 12:03 a.m. they come out with the press release. Mm-hmm. So they go through all 3 of these days. They practice. Everyone comes down. They know what's been going on for a week. These guys have fished out there for the 3 days under the flooded conditions. And then 6 hours before the tournament takes off, everybody gets to go home, spending tons of money for absolutely no point. We're talking service crews in, everybody driving out there, all the vendors, the media.
Us.
Mercer literally is in the air. He lands and rebooks his flight. So that ruffled. I mean,
here's the bottom line, Matthew, and we say this on this show. Right. It's all about money.
Right.
This whole thing is driven by money, and it's the amount of money that the communities have to pay to have the show come to their town. Now, they pushed the limit, but then when they got the phone call, or when they made the phone call, I don't know which one it was, to the dude that has the button that opens up 27 gates, that's when they were like, holy crap. Mm-hmm. We got an issue here. But did they realize, and was that information communicated prior? Could you not foresee that was going to be an issue?
And it's almost, earlier this year. Now, obviously, those conditions hit before practice started, not during practice started at the Sabine River, the second event of the season that they ended up having to postpone. And they made that call before everybody had gotten down there. I didn't have to drive down there. Guys didn't have to get down there. Some of the guys were down there starting to practice, but they did it the week before. So I think this goes into you had some guys come out, and Bass, you want to call it a propaganda machine?
It really is. I mean, they went to work. And they sent the crew out there. It was crash and burn, man. They were
elite event postponed, elite event discussed, photos of the Chesapeake River rising. You got Pete Glusick out there on pad in the Susquehanna going, I can barely hold it. Look at the current. There's forest running past. Anything that resembled wood in the water and current was flashed up on Bassmaster.
It was quite the PR machine.
Yeah, they had Ronnie Moore on there interviewing guys in Skype. They put Brandon Polnick down by the dam with the raging river. Now, if I recall, they didn't absolutely have to fish that portion of the Susquehanna.
And I think the Chesapeake Bay is much larger than just the bay.
Here's something you also have to remember. Now, in the Bass rule book, you need to get that?
No.
In the Bass rule book that comes out every year, there's a clause in there. And I haven't looked at the 2018, but I know in the past years there had been in 17. So I'd assume it hasn't changed. It's pretty much the same thing. That you cannot publicly badmouth Bass.
Voice your opinion in a negative way.
There's a negative light to Bass. I can go get the rules and actually read it. So you kind of have a lot of guys who, I don't know if they really say their true opinion of, whether it should be canceled or not. And obviously safety is number one. But there are a number of guys who felt like safety wasn't a huge factor. They didn't, there were some guys who were like, hey man, look, you can't go out here. This is bad. But then there was also mixed guys who were like, yeah, we can totally fish. One of those was Skeet Reese.
And we have some audio.
Yeah. You don't often hear, one of the big five go out and say something like this, but he posted this on his Facebook and Instagram, 14 hours ago?
Yeah. You want me to cue it up?
Yeah, cue up Skeet Reese's audio, and you're just getting audio here.
Yeah.
All right, so here's our little wrap-up from Chesapeake Bay this week. Well, there is no wrap-up. We didn't have a tournament. My opinion, Bass made a horrible call canceling the tournament. There's Chesapeake Bay, if you look on a map, is a huge body of water. And there's a lot of other rivers and creeks that flow into this that were clear, non-debris filled, and totally fishable. The Susquehanna River was flowing muddy, a lot of debris coming down there, but there was a whole lot of other river we could have fished. So now, guys, there's only gonna be about 5 guys when we come back to make any money when we come to this tournament. Everybody's gonna lose money on this. You got double expenses plus your entry fees. So my opinion, it was a bad call canceling the event this week. Oh well, it is what it is. If we come back here, we'll have to catch them then. But so no fishing report other than fishing actually really was tough this week. I'm sure a few guys figured something out, but as a whole, it was a struggle to get 1, 2, 3 bites a day. And that was general consensus of most of my peers that I fish with. So it was a tough bite. But then again, we would have had a winner no matter what the conditions. But now we got to wait till next time to figure it out.
All right, there you have it, Skeet Reese.
Pretty candid.
Pretty opinionated.
Also some likes on that comment by fellow Elite Series pros. Also some other comments by fellow Elite Series pros supporting him. Now, likewise, there were also a number of pros who came out saying that Bass made the absolute right call, that there is no way they could fish under it. And kind of given the climate of professional fishing this year, obviously with what happened to start the year off at Okeechobee with the co-angler Nick Kaler, kind of brought that safety to the forefront, obviously, too. Wouldn't you agree, Mark?
I agree.
And by no means are we saying just send it. I mean, you can go back 2 years to the safety show that we did, and if they'd implemented all those, you'd had pretty much everybody out with beacons and helmets on.
Yeah.
Not fishing if it was raining to be 100% safe. But is there a right answer in this situation?
Tough call, man. Tough call. And everybody obviously is going to have an opinion on it, but my opinion boils down to the cash. It's all about money. And now the quandary that is really at the forefront is, how the hell do you make it up? Because the time clock is running out from a calendar perspective. Mm-hmm. The cost, all right, to go back to the Chesapeake Bay is enormous on the guys.
And it's not an area where there's just tons of areas you can, park a boat and get a hotel room like it is at Oahe, where
you have opens, you have other stuff going on.
Holiday weekends.
The week after the St. Lawrence River is what? The holiday week?
Is it Labor Day or?
One of those.
Memorial Day. One of the two. I think it's Labor Day.
So what are you going to do? You're going to try and have a back-to-back event, or?
Well, you can't get any rooms there in Baltimore on a holiday weekend.
So one of the things that was discussed with one of the anglers that I spoke with yesterday was, maybe because of the venue and the fact that Bass has been to this venue numerous times, that they just suck it up one time and go, hey, look, community, we don't want you to pay us anything. We just want to get this event in and done, and we would be more than happy to promote your community if you let us do this. Any idea where that is?
No.
Syracuse, Oneida. Yeah. That was his thought. And it's not a bad idea, because lodging wouldn't be an issue there. Yes, they may have to drive 20, 25 miles and actually stay in Syracuse. That's about how far it is to Oneida. You're still going to have the holiday traffic on there, but what is the solution?
In my opinion, the solution is to do what FLW Tour did 6, 7 years ago on the first tour stop of the year, and just not have it. That's the only way the playing field is going to be completely level. That way you're not putting the scheduling onus, the money, the time, the effort for those anglers to go back. It's not like the season ends at the St. Lawrence. There's still a top 50 for the Angler of the Year Championship. And then you have the classic bracket after that.
But you have a group, probably 30% of the anglers, that if they would have performed well in this event, they would have had a shot at making the top 50.
Right, or they could have tanked in the event and never had a shot at making the top 50.
You're right.
So it's the exact same. So I think the only way you can level the playing field is to write these guys a $5,500 check to return their entry fee, give the city whatever money it is back, say, hey, we've already come out with the 2019 schedule. We'll look forward in the future. We're sorry this one didn't work out. Logistically, with the time and the money that's involved in this, there's no way we can get this one in. And it's an 8-tournament regular season schedule, just like it has been in the past. Before they started, adding 9, 10 and the All-Star and the Angler of the Year, and go on down the road and say, boy, that was a cluster.
Well, I think Lake Oneida is probably the best alternative, and the money that you gained from what the community paid for the Chesapeake Bay event, you tell them, hey, look, we'll come back in 2020. The 19 schedule's already out. Roll over the money. Say, hey, we'll come back. You throw it in there in 2020. And you go on down the road. I do not think it is fair, and a lot of the anglers that I have spoken with do not think it's fair to double the points and double the money in the St. Lawrence River event.
And that was just an idea that had been, slung around there. A couple guys mentioned that, but that is 100% not fair.
Not good.
I mean, there's if you're a Josh Bertrand, you're sitting there going, okay.
I know.
I mean, the guy or Cliff Perch or any of those guys, but now you're putting twice the emphasis on a specialty fishery. It's not like, it's not like a fishery where you can target multiple things and fish your strengths and all that. You're talking about a heavy current northern smallmouth dominated fishery where historically, if you look back over the past 3 times we've been there, the top 20% of the field is made up of about the 40 same guys year after year. And there's a number of those guys up there who have historically struggled to put themselves in position to get through that event, still make the Classic, still make the Angler of the Year Championship, and now you're doubling the points. And then with the structure that they have, the Angler of the Year Championship on Chattooga is only worth a half point because if you catch a fish, you get 50 points. So I don't see how they could possibly do that.
Yeah. I think Oneida is a logical solution. And honestly, Matt, with as much money as that community has paid Bass, I'm sure Bass could pick up the phone and call whoever they need to call and go, look, here's the situation. Let's get this done.
And there's so many other, we were talking about Eric Lopez, who's in the event coordinator, who had to coordinate the change, and then that, and then they had, we were going to have them on last week before all this went down. Was they had the minor league ball team there in Aberdeen that was changing their name to the Anglers, and they were going to have guys throwing out first pitches. They literally changed their uniforms. They had a big festival that was going to go on. The weigh-in was going to be at Cal Ripken.
Feel sorry for Elo,
Saturday
man.
and Sunday. Cal Ripken. It's like a mini Camden Yards where this is going to go down. There was even rumors that Cal Ripken was going to be there for one of the days and throw out a first pitch. So the service crew guys. It's amazing how much money and planning was put into this to be canceled 6 hours before the tournament. Would it have sucked had it been done on Monday or Sunday before 30% of those involved had gotten down there and there had been time to kind of work around it? Yeah.
I just think you either cancel the whole thing or go to Oneida.
You got to cancel the whole thing. And you can't just throw in Oneida.
Sure you can.
You can, but I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think the right thing to do... Would
that not be a fair body of water, though? You can catch largemouth.
I don't think so. It would totally change it. You're talking grass fishing, power fishing, tidal stuff, and now you're going to go back to another northern smallmouth fishery where some guys, I guarantee, have been on that body of water within the past year.
Once again, I think it's the best solution if you're going to get another event in and reduce the amount of cost for the guys.
If you are bound and determined to get another event in.
Yes. It's probably the best solution. I guess you could go to the Finger Lakes.
Why don't they just send them to Coeur d'Alene Lake over in Idaho? Just throw in an Idaho one. They seem to like the Wild West adventures these days.
All right, we're going to take a break. Hopefully come back with Boyd Duckett right here on a special version of BTL here on a Friday. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The most versatile fishing machine on Earth, Unparalleled resolution and clarity with more agility, lightning speed, and brute strength. HDS Carbon takes rapid response performance and screen technology to an all-new level. Maximized power, maximized visibility. See Structure Scan 3D, new dual chirp sonar, new live network sonar, and more mapping options, all at the same time and faster than ever before.
Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4-strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
I'm at Depot. Just look for yourself. There's an Atlas jack plate on just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
My rods look different because they are different. Every rod is built by the pros and for the pros. When you pick up a white Duckett fishing rod, you're getting a cutting-edge rod, one that's truly pro-driven with the actions you need for every bait category you fish. I put my name on it. It's my promise to build you a great rod you can count on.
Duckett Fishing, Micro Magic, Macro Magic, or White Ice.
Try them. They work.
Fishing just got easier, and it didn't cost you a thing. Free feature upgrades from Lowrance. Fish Reveal delivers the best of chirp sonar and downscan imaging, all on one screen, and it's going to help you find more fish. High visibility color sonar take high contrast imaging to a whole new level. It delivers the absolute best views of structure. Fish like to hide there, but their hiding days are over. These features are ready to roll when you are. Just upgrade your HDS Carbon software.
Hey guys, Russ Lane, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. Man, I am so excited to be joining the AFCO Pro staff. They got some really cool, innovative products to help you have a more enjoyable, comfortable day while you're out there on the water. Really stylish, great functional clothing. You're gonna love it. The thing I'm most excited about though is AFCO has pledged to donate 10% of their total profits back to supporting the conservation of our fisheries, and I am all about supporting a company that's about supporting conservation so that we can enjoy our bass fishing for a long time. Check us out, AFCO.
Jacob Wheeler and Tommy Biffle have a lot in common.
Flat bill.
The perfect shape.
You gotta love some white tackle.
I know I have a spinning rod.
I love my hammer crawl.
Biffle bug.
Rigged
on a hardhead.
Well, they could be twins. Biffle bug, hammer crawl, hardhead. From Gene LaRue.
Let me help you, man.
Let me help that hat.
Whoa, whoa.
There you go. I already look better.
When I talk about Sunline, I think of one word: confidence.
Sunline FX2 is what I use for all of my frogging and flipping.
S61 braid, which braid plays a big part in fishing line.
Shooter, I'm going to use in those close quarter deals like flipping and pitching.
One of my favorite techniques in fishing the tournament trail is to fish offshore ledges.
We have taken the questions out of the equation.
Take my word for it. It works. It works, dude.
All right, we are back, Mark and Matt in studio on a special show here on a Friday. Matthew coming home early from the Chesapeake Bay, and we have two great guests lined up here. We're going to go to Boyd Duckett via the phone.
We got the music cranked up there, Mark.
Yeah, I know. I'm hitting the button.
Pretty dramatic stuff.
So Boyd had a brand new computer and did not have Skype set up correctly on it yet. So we're just going to do it via phone with Boyd and get his take on what went down and talk to him about a few other things. Then after Boyd, we're going to go to Mike Iaconelli live via Skype. We've tested his Skype feed and he's good to go. So let's see here. Boyd, you there, man?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we have you. Thanks for taking time out. Really, you should be on the water now, but obviously with the events that have taken place this week, you are not. You are back in Guntersville, and I thought it'd be a great thing to have you on the show today, our special show, and just kind of give us your thoughts on everything that went down at the Chesapeake and the way that this whole situation came about.
Well, yeah. Wow, huh? we had, and I apologize for not having my Skype set up. I got a new computer, and I'm not technology friendly. I thought I had it. I'll have to get my IT guy to get the rest of my stuff set up. So I apologize for blowing through the computer so much, but I'm always clogging them down with something. But anyway, yeah, how about that rainfall up at the Chesapeake? You know, it's I saw on the news up there it's the most rain they've ever had since they formed Maryland. It's the all-time most. And so the issue, of course, the Chesapeake Bay being tied into the ocean doesn't rise substantially. So it wasn't really a high water situation. It's that the main feeder river at the top of the Chesapeake, where we were, Upper Chesapeake Bay, has the Susquehanna River, and there's dams, locks and dams and lakes. No locks, I'm sorry, dams and lakes, power dams. And they had so much rain up in Pennsylvania and flooding everywhere. They had all the gates open on all those lakes, and so this tremendous amount of debris was flowing into the Upper Chesapeake, like trees and refrigerators and gas grills, and there's a lot of people up there in the Northeast, man, and they must not clean their yard good, because there was stuff, just so much stuff. I mean, it looked like it ran through Sanford and Son's backyard.
Wow.
I mean, just everything imaginable would come by you. And so with all that debris in the water, it became a dangerous situation, for the anglers and the marshals. And so that was, I think, the thrust of why Bass canceled it. In addition to that, there was flooding at the boat ramp where we launched. We lost our parking. That was going to be a nightmare as it was to deal with. So there was a lot. It was a complicated issue, complex problem where you have things hitting you from all directions. So I guess Bass said, smart move here is let's not do this.
Now, we have discussed, obviously, this topic with a number of anglers, and some of the anglers that we've spoke with, they didn't even know that it was canceled and made their way to the ramp Thursday morning.
Yeah, I got up at 4 o'clock Thursday morning. I knew it was going to be a mess, so I wanted to get there early, and I was actually leaving the motel, and Shaw Grigsby came out with a handful of clothes. I'm putting my rods in the boat, anxious to fish, because I had a pile of clear water that had a bunch of fish in them. I was real excited about having a great tournament, and I knew the guys were struggling, so I was all excited and jacked to fish, and then he said, man, where are you going with your jersey on? There's no tournament. So they had sent a text out Friday night about 11, but I'd already gone to bed. And I didn't check my phone. I'm not a millennial, so I don't get up and look at my phone when I wake up.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Yeah, so I didn't know until I told, and I'm sure that some of the other guys just drove to the ramp. But, that's a horrible situation for bass to be in. I mean, the few guys that were catching them, I'm sure they were excited to fish. The guys that weren't catching them probably excited that they postponed it. And but when you're in bass, there's no good way out of that situation. You're going to make part of the field mad and part of the field happy either way you go. So I don't know what the right thing to do. Erring on the side of safety is probably a good call.
Boyd, I had one unnamed angler text me that the cancellation of the tournament was the most positive thing that's happened to him the entire season.
Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, there you go. So, well, that's one of the guys. Hey, listen, there were let me tell you, even before it was as massively flooded as it is now, the fishing was absolutely terrible. The backs of the creeks were muddy, I guess, from all the previous rain. And it was hard now, guys. I mean, it's the worst. We were there last time, and it's the bay, and it's tidal, and there's a limited number of fish. I mean, we all know it's not a superstar fishery, but it's got bass, and it has some quality bass, especially up around that flat. But it was tougher than the time before that we were there by far. I mean, you could fish all day and not get a bite. A lot of the guys, I mean, I talked to guys that hadn't caught one yet.
Wow.
Yeah, that's bad. And so, I'm sure that a lot of guys were excited not to have to deal with that. But there were a few pockets where there was some clear water where the fish had run to, actually. And, I was just lucky and found a little area that had them, so I was excited to fish. But I get it, man. There are events that you're better off, bad as it is, you're better off not having it because it just would have been a debacle, and dangerous. It's a safety issue. We've canceled on Lake Erie when we had 8-footers, and you don't want to go out and kill somebody over a bass tournament.
Boyd, let me ask you this: why not just schedule locations where, if things like this happen, that the event's not going to get canceled? I mean, why do they? And I know it's money, but why not schedule events on bodies of water that you don't have to deal with this stuff?
That I don't disagree with that. They've taken a few risks that they've gotten by with. A couple of those February classics at Grand where you could have had a snowstorm and canceled the event. The Sabine River was a big risk because it floods often. That was not terribly unpredictable. It floods very often that time of year. But in defense of bass on this one, the Chesapeake Bay doesn't flood. It just doesn't. It's tied to the ocean, and it never gets high. Mm-hmm. And you've got to realize this is the all-time ever record amount of rain for the state of Maryland in July. It's never happened since man was created, or the state was created. So, nobody can be ready for that one. Right. I can't really put a finger on bass because, man, you wouldn't expect that to ever happen, and it just did, and that's all part of it,
Let me ask you this, Boyd, just kind of get a little behind the scenes peek at how it went down. Before practice started, as practice started, Sunday going into it, Monday, Tuesday, were you guys as anglers talking about, boy, this is going to get worse? And then how was it handled at the meeting on Wednesday night, obviously, when they have it? Was it discussed that, hey, keep your phones on, this thing might not happen? Or was it this is a go and a surprise to you guys? But kind of leading into it, I guess, did you see this coming at all?
No, during the meeting, it was a go, but you have to realize that it wasn't until Wednesday evening at 5 they had opened 11 floodgates on the first dam closest to the top of the bay. And they were going to open them to 27 gates. That decision happened on Wednesday by the Corps or whoever runs those lakes up there. So that was sort of unprecedented, and so it just didn't happen till Wednesday afternoon. Well, Bass at the end of our meeting called for the Elite Advisory Board to have a meeting. We have this elite advisory board, elected members that represent all of the elite anglers, and they met and kind of got together on this new breaking news. It was already a tremendous amount of debris coming down with 13 or 14 gates of whatever it was. It was already sketchy. But then at 5 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, they go to 27 gates. I had put in at the base of the Susquehanna River, so I saw it. I personally had to drive through it to put back in, to get back on the trailer on Wednesday afternoon. And that's what I'm telling you, man. it looked like a tornado hit a trailer park and all the debris was floating down. I mean, there was stuff from, lamp shades and lamps and refrigerators and all kinds of stuff coming down through there. Basketballs. I mean, you could have set your kid up for life on sporting goods, but between the flat and the boat ramp.
Wow.
And that was before 27 gates were open. So it just unfolded during the event, and then I was really surprised actually that they canceled it because there wasn't a lot of talk about that at the meeting. But all that happened that night, and they did send a text at 11 to let everybody know it was postponed. And I tell you another giant challenge, guys, with everybody's schedule, how to have the event. We don't have much time to have the event. We actually, it would have to be, assuming they don't move the AOY championship, you've only got 3 weeks to have it, I guess.
Yep.
3 weeks. So it would have to be stuffed in like the week of September 3rd, maybe, or you can't do it back-to-back coming off of St. Lawrence. Well, you could, I guess, behind St. Lawrence, week of the 27th.
But that's a holiday week.
Yeah, it is a holiday week. What holiday is it?
I don't know, the last holiday of the year before Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Is it Labor Day?
I get them mixed up. Labor Day and Memorial Day.
I think it's Labor Day. It's Labor Day.
Well, no, Labor Day's on the 3rd. So the week of the 27th is clear.
That's the week after the St. Lawrence?
The St. Lawrence, yeah. And you could do it because it's not that far from St. Lawrence to Maryland.
Yeah, but some of the people that I've spoke to, with all the rain that is going to continue to pound that area, there's no way. Yeah, it's not going to get any better in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it just depends on the rain. It depends on when they close the dam back and what happens to all that debris. It's in the bay, so it's not a bay is not a flowing river. I don't know what it happened. That eventually we'll all go out to the ocean, I guess. But I don't know how to guess how long that takes. You could monitor the dams. When they get the dams closed back, then the water level will recede in the river, and I imagine new debris will stop coming. Hey, eventually there won't be anything left in Pennsylvania. Everybody's house will be gone by. So the debris can't come forever, man. I mean, you eventually has to all flow by, doesn't it?
I'm with you. I want to throw this out at you, Boyd. The whole reason that these communities write the check to Bass and FLW and everybody else that brings events to their communities is to showcase the area, correct?
Yes.
They want to showcase the fishery. They want to showcase, what a great place it is and everything like that. Would it not be better for the community to just say, you know what, we don't want you to come back when this thing is massively just blown out? Why don't we do this? You announced the schedule in 2019. Why don't you just put us on the schedule for 2020 and we move on down the road?
Yeah, that may happen because it may not be able to get squeezed in. But you do have a couple of problems with that. One is you have anglers that paid entry fees for that event. So that has to be dealt with. And you also have, I'm sure, host city money that has to be dealt with. Either you hold it and you do over to the next year. That I guess that would be one of them. But 19's already set, so you'd have to drop a 19 tournament to do that.
No, I said roll it over to 2020. Just say, hey, 19 is set. Roll it over to 2020.
Yeah, if they want their money tied up that long.
Well, give it back to them.
Well, you could. Yeah, I hear you.
Give it back to them. And then
but it's in your revenue model, to take money out of the company that, a bunch of it got spent trying to have the event. So there's some tough choices to make. It's going to be a financial burden on somebody. And obviously you've also got to give back 100 guys that paid $5,200 or whatever that number is.
Tough call.
And that's a bunch of money.
It's a tough call. So what would be your thought on what should happen? Should they try and go back? There's been the suggestion of, hey, let's do a back-to-back after the St. Lawrence River and go to Lake Oneida and just call up the community and say, hey, look, we know you've written us checks for a number of years. We just want to get this in and have that final event to where you put it on a fishery that is largemouth, smallmouth. It would definitely generate interest. Maybe the community would be willing to pony up a little bit of money, but even if they don't, you still get that one event there. Because me personally, and the feedback that I'm getting from other anglers, Boyd, is it is not legit and it's not fair to just forget about that event and not have those people that are in position to possibly make the top 50 to not have that opportunity.
Yeah, you can't. I agree with that because there's 2 more events. Got a lot of guys trying to make it into the Classic and what have you. So you have to have it. But here's a thought that actually I think Chris Lane came up with this, and it was bounced around the Elite Advisory Board, and it's a pretty good solution. How about now we will have to figure out how to deal with the venue up there in the city, but as far as the anglers and the points and the payback, we could fish the St. Lawrence for double points and double payout, and that would make all that even. So you still have a chance. You basically just forward it, and St. Lawrence becomes a double points tournament and a double payout tournament. And then you figure out how to economically work a deal with the city, so we either come back in 19 or make a refund or whatever is necessary. But that would clean up the anglers without having to schedule another event.
Yeah, but then you're taking away the element of you're fishing the same body of water and you're double dipping in there and not really keying in on the total difference in the venues that they actually paid for.
I'm with you.
And the people that I've spoken with, they don't like that idea at all. They don't like it at all. So I know it's been thrown out there, but unlike, this situation happened in Oklahoma. Remember when we had the situation on the Arkansas River? And they made the decision, hey, we're going to move it to Fort Gibson. Fortunately, there was another body of water, and the city was willing to do what was necessary to provide the venue and everything that goes down behind the scenes. But you just couldn't do that. So the vast majority of people that I've spoken with, Boyd, they like the idea of either just eliminating the event. They don't want to go back. I haven't had one person tell me that they want to go back. All right? Or put it on a second venue and do a back-to-back event, and then you got a shot. And really, when you really think about it, Boyd, there's about 35% of the field that really has an enormous amount of skin to be displayed in the game because they're on the bubble and trying to make that top 50. I'm not counting the guys that are already in position to make the top 50, but now you have a much better venue, you have a much better format to really clarify, okay, we truly are going to have the top 50 guys based upon the schedule that we put together. So it is a very difficult decision, but this thing I do know, it needs to be made pretty quick.
Yeah, Bass has got their hands full trying to figure this one out. Yep. So I don't know, man. It's tough. Your safety issue will probably be over within a week. Your debris issue, all right. So now I'm not saying the fishery will fish great, but you would have an option. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you would be 5 weeks from now if you fish the week of the 27th. That's immediately following St. Lawrence. Your debris is gone, so your safety issue is gone, and chances are the creeks will have cleared out. It depends on what else happens in rain, but I mean, it should be fishable. So you could certainly run it the week of the 27th. I would probably lean to do that because the city still gets what they bought. We still have a bass tournament on a place that we all practice and we're prepared for, and it goes down. And I'm not saying the fishing will be great, but you'll have a fair and equal chance to compete on that body of water.
All right. We're gonna see how it plays out. All right. Anything else that you can talk about from an MLF perspective? I know the World Championship aired on CBS. The other thing I noticed too, Boyd, is that there was a day about a week or 2 weeks ago that it was like for 8 straight hours, it was nothing but Major League Fishing on the CBS Sports Network. That entire 8 hours, it just, it was like an 8-hour block of nothing but Major League Fishing. So can you give us any insight on how that went down, and is there anything from an MLF perspective that you can tell us?
Yeah, of course, our championship, we've had increased ratings on CBS Network, which we're really, really proud of. It's great for the tournament fishing industry. We're hitting levels, we're hitting strides that has never happened before. We're legitimately expanding the sport by having all this programming be on networks that are non-core audience networks. So that part, and that's all by design, and that's a lot of what we always wanted to do at Major League Fishing. So we're very proud of the fact that we're exposing tournament fishing to a much broader audience, growing the sport, so to speak, legitimately. And so that's all really good. It is fun that CBS likes us and offered those opportunities on CBS Sports. Most of that's been driven by the network and by appetite. So that's great, that they like seeing what we do. They like our format. They like to see professional competition in bass fishing. Even though a lot of the audience doesn't fully understand that they're watching it. So we're really excited about these opportunities that are coming down. So we want to continue to do that stuff. Our re-airs of all the Cup events are also doing very well on Discovery, and Discovery has an appetite for more events from us, and hopefully some originals where we've been giving them re-airs. So we have lots of opportunity. We're going to have to figure out how to maybe do a few more events to satisfy some of these television appetites. So we got a lot of work to do in 19 to figure out how to cover all this stuff.
All right, man. One question on the instant feedback. They want to know, and I don't know if you can answer this, they want to know when the Green Ghost is coming out.
Green Ghost will start to ship in November. Yep, right. We should have our inventory levels high enough by November. We'll start shipping to stores. It's a 19 product, but it'll be out. It'll be in the stores before Christmas.
Have you seen it, Matthew?
I saw pictures. Just saw it at ICAST. Yeah, pictures of it at ICAST.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff there.
Yeah, awesome rod too, and a fabulous price point at $79.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else on the Duckett fishing side? Reels. What's the latest scoop on the reels? Can you say anything about that?
Yep, we are on our reels. We've got our new 400 series that we're planning on launching. You saw them at ICAST. We're planning on having them available in 19. We're trying to finish out, do all of our durability testing, all the stuff we do here. So those will roll out sometime in 19. And, of course, we're real excited about that new Silverado rod, the mid-size guided rod at the $99 price point. That is a all new design blank. I'm really proud of the actions and the sensitivity that we got at that price point. That rod turned out really good. And basically, we took the Green Ghost, the Ghost blank that was, very, very popular as a micro guided rod, and we moved that to the Green Ghost. We were able to drop the price point. We've built the rod now 3 or 4 years, and we got our mandrels paid for, all the stuff, and we're able to basically take that Ghost blank and move it into that Green Ghost. So that's a great value for the customers, and especially at that price point.
All right, man. So what are you going to do this weekend now since you're back home?
I'll probably try to catch up on some of this work I got, man. It's been a crazy summer. We've traveled so much, and I got a lot of work to do. I've got 1,500 or 1,600 emails as I'm working on today, and I'll probably do that all weekend and just, do what I do, man. I come back and work.
All right.
Got a lot going on.
A lot going on. A lot of good stuff going on. All right, man. I really, really appreciate it. Make sure you get your guy in there. So next time here, hopefully maybe before the St. Lawrence, we can have you back on via Skype, and you can show people some of that stuff if they didn't get a chance to see it at ICAST.
Absolutely. I'll be ready for you.
All right, man. Thanks, Boyd.
Yep. See you guys.
All right, there you have it, Boyd Duckett.
I hate to break it to Boyd, but that next week after that is Labor Day.
That's what I thought.
It's August 23rd through 26th. I'm looking at this schedule. This is a nightmare for Bassmark. So August 23rd through 26th is the Elite Series on the St. Lawrence River presented by Black Velvet Fine Whiskey.
Canadian whiskey, right?
Yeah, I got some Black Velvet sunglasses at the last event. So then the next week, which is Labor Day, and I just looked it up, is September 3rd. So that's the next week. So that's the holiday weekend. Then the weekend after that is the 4th Central Open of the year, September 6th through 8th on Logan Martin in Alabama. Then the weekend after that is the final Eastern Open of the year on Douglas Lake in Dandridge, Tennessee. Then the weekend after that is the Angler of the Year Championship on Chesapeake. And July is almost done, so it's gone. So you're either going to have to do it, and if you do it the weekend before the St. Lawrence River, you're going to have to pull all those live cameras out of the College Series bracket that they've been pumping up that we had Hank Weldon on, because they're going to be in Kansas. So then their event goes dark because you're not going to have anybody covering that if you have them covering an Elite Series. You do it the week before. So then you'd have two, I guess the open stage and all that would go to, or if they even have a stage for that open bracket. And you can't do it before that because that's in 10 days. You see what I'm saying? So really the only actual weekend is you either put it on a holiday weekend and just wish everybody good luck on finding rooms.
Good point. Good point, man. They are in a definite quandary. And
they avoid the holiday weekends. If you notice, a lot of times practice will start on like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then the deal starts on Friday. They've done it, before on Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm
looking at the official schedule right now. So
I'm gonna try while we continue to discuss this. I'm gonna try and get Icon.
Okay.
Via Skype. So,
and he's flying. So does he know how to answer the Skype?
Yeah, we tested it. Becky and I tested it.
Right, but that was Becky. Does he know how to answer the Skype?
He does. Obviously not yet, but he does.
Yeah, dude, they're in trouble.
There's not a whole...
there may not be trouble.
So what is the week after St. Lawrence? I know it's a holiday week, but there's nothing else going on that week.
No.
That looks like that is the only week that they could do it then.
If you want to do it on a holiday weekend.
It's 1 day of practice.
In Baltimore. No, it wouldn't be 1 day of practice. It would be the day after the tournament ends. So it would be on the holiday weekend because that holiday's on a Monday. It's on the 3rd. So the tournament would be the 31st or 30th, 1st, 30th, 31st, 1st, and 2nd.
Yeah. Do you need a travel day? I don't even know how long it would take to get there. Is it more than 6 hours?
It doesn't matter what it doesn't.
From the St. Lawrence River to the Chesapeake?
Let me check it out 1 second.
That's why I'm asking, would you need a travel day? Is it more than 6 hours?
I don't know. I'll open up the old
because,
Google Maps.
as I've said, you shouldn't penalize success when you don't create a travel day.
I'm confused sitting here in a blog. Can you imagine the room at Bass?
I'm with you, man.
It is... Waddington to Baltimore.
6 hours?
That is 7.5 hours, 478 miles.
Wow. Okay,
So that's it. You're looking at 9 hours by the time you go all the way through Pennsylvania and Scranton, stop by the old paper mill.
Just for curiosity, do it to Syracuse. How many miles? How much time?
That's only 3 hours.
I'm telling you, that's a viable solution.
Yep, 2 hours and 25 minutes.
A very viable solution. All right, we're going to keep trying here.
Yeah.
All right, I think he's there.
He's talking to you. Make sure he knows he's live. Who knows what Ike's going to say.
I know. All right, Mike, we're going to go to you now. You there, Mike?
I'm there.
How are you, dude?
You're live.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. An unexpected show with Mike Iaconelli here on a Friday.
Yeah! By the way, I know how to answer Skype, so...
Oh, he's listening to the show.
Yeah, I was listening.
Well, you're the talent. Typically, the talent doesn't know how to push the buttons.
Come on, man. I'm a millennial. I'm only in my 20s.
What, you got to sit in the folding chair? Brian won't let you sit in the producer's chair?
I'm just floating around back here.
Brian said, stay out of my chair.
I'm very uncomfortable back here in this booth. I don't like it here.
Closed in, man.
Is that Eric's seat?
It's Eric / Becky / Dave, a.k.a. Fathead, a.k.a. Worf, a.k.a. Stormtrooper's seat. It's everybody's seat.
All right, Mike. Here's what I'd like to do, and you let me know if you're okay with this. Obviously, big announcement coming down about your new show. We want to get into that in great detail, but the event that has taken place this week on really what could be classified as one of your home bodies of water. Obviously, a lot of people out there, they want your thought on what went down and is this the right call, and just kind of let people know what you're thinking about sitting in the studio instead of sitting in the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah, they're all good questions. Boy, it's complicated. Let me start with the safety position, which I'll say first, which is, I respect the decision that was made. It's a tough call. You've got so many variables you've got to put together, and you're hearing from anglers, you're hearing from Aberdeen Proving Grounds people, you're hearing from people from the state, law enforcement, people upstream. You got so many variables to take into account, and you've got to make a decision. That's one of the toughest things you could do. So I respect the decision that was made. I agree. Safety should be a concern. I never take that lightly. At the same time, I don't know necessarily that was the right decision. It's tough because, again, it's not as cut and dry as people think. A lot of the images that you saw from bass, from Pete Glusick's a good buddy of mine. He was there toting those guys around, so I know a little of the behind the scenes on sort of what the agenda was on those photos, and it was to show the ugly side of the river. And and there were areas that were ugly, and I totally get it. But the upper Susquehanna River, the upper Chesapeake Bay system, 2 bridges up the Susquehanna River, looks a lot different than a majority of the bay, right? If you're in the Sassafras River, the Bohemia, if you're in the Elk River, if you're in the Middle River, if you're in Chester River, if you're in Choptank, all these other places in the upper Chesapeake Bay, it doesn't look that bad. I happen to I was staying on a house in the Northeast River. I got the notification that morning that it was canceled. So my alarm was at 4 o'clock. I woke up, I looked at the texts, and I go, okay, well, they canceled it. I get it. And I started getting together. The sun rose. I packed the truck. I'm only an hour away, so I was getting ready to leave, and I looked out back. I was staying right on the lake. The Northeast Creek looked the cleanest I've seen it all week. The water was clean. It was immaculate. The water was calm. As far as I could see out in the Northeast, I didn't see any debris. I didn't see any logs, right? So, again, I'm not bashing anybody. They made a decision. I think, that they have to take the variables and make a call. Safety of the anglers has to be important. But I think what a lot of guys are seeing is a little bit jaded perspective of what the upper Chesapeake Bay looked like. I believe that, this sport is one of the strengths of professional bass fishing is that we have to tackle the challenges, and we have to tackle Mother Nature and the elements. And that's one of the beauties of this sport that I love. And, to me, this was another cool piece of the puzzle. This was going to throw an element into this event that was... What? Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, guys. This was another cool piece of this, another element, another cool piece of the story that would have been amazing. How did these guys figure out what the rest of the world, what the rest of the country, what the rest of the Northeast thinks are unfishable conditions? How cool would it have been to see somebody unlock the secret to catching 18 pounds a day under these conditions? I would have liked to seen that, because I don't think I could have caught 18 in those conditions. Yeah, go ahead, Matt. What do you got?
Oh, no, I was just giving my hand sign with Mark. But my question was, from where you guys were taking out of, where the launch ramp was, could you have gotten to those cleaner, safe areas of the Chesapeake Bay without having to navigate, as Duckett said, refrigerators, barbecues, or is it just, yeah, don't go up the Susquehanna, it's pretty jacked up, but you could take in and not have to worry about hitting anything getting to the clean places? Or would you have had to go through some gnarly stuff to get to the safe stuff?
I can't say 100% for sure. I'd have to actually be on the water launching from the Bush River to tell you 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure that the conditions that you saw between the Bush River running anyway, and again, the bad area was the Susquehanna, but running anyway, I think you would have saw conditions that we've all seen 15 or 20 in the last 15 or 20 years. I can tell you that I've been in a lot worse. I fished Red River tournaments, Sabine River tournaments. I fished Arkansas River events where there was more crap floating in the water than what I saw on the last day of practice. This is what we signed up for, man. This is professional fishing. This is when you sign up to be a pro angler, you sign up to deal with the elements, man, to deal with it, don't be reckless. Yeah, there's stuff floating in the water, dude. Realize it. Bump your RPMs down a little bit. Hey, dude, I've wrecked the boat before. I hit a floating log in the Sabine when the Sabine was normal, right? So there's always going to be danger. It's part of the sport. NASCAR is a great example. Those drivers go out and they compete. The conditions change. The road conditions change. Stuff happens. A car in front of you blows a tire. You've got to react. I mean, this is what we sign up for. Again, let me keep jumping back to, they made a decision. I'm sticking with it. I think the decision they make, they take all the elements in the factor. What the decision that Tripp and those guys made, I think was the right one. If they didn't just make the decision at a snap of a finger. They listened to a lot of things. I hope deep down inside that the decision was made for the right reason and not outside influences. I'm not going to name any names, but I had an angler try to call me on the last day of practice 3 times. I want to say once at 10, once at noon, and once at 1:30 or something. And I don't, honestly, the way I practice, I don't keep my cell phone near me. I have no idea. So when I got off the water on the last practice day at 3 o'clock, killing myself to find fish enough to have a good finish. Killing myself. When I got off the water at 3 o'clock, sped to the service crew, got little thing fixed, made the meeting by a minute. I finally looked at my phone. I said, man, the heck did he call me 3 times for? Well, he was lobbying to anglers to have them tell Bass to cancel the event. Why? Was it because of safety? Or was it because this guy had a bad practice, right? Tough fishing, having a bad practice is not a reason to cancel a tournament. If it was, can I go back in time? Because I've had a lot of those where I've sucked in 3 days of practice and didn't hardly catch a keeper. I would have loved to have those tournaments postponed. But listen to me, man. Your personal fishing, having tough fishing conditions, not catching a keeper in 3 practice days, your back hurts. That ain't a reason to postpone a tournament, bro. If you don't want to fish, don't fish. Stay in bed. Go get lunch. Tie your boat up and go get lunch. That's your priority. But for me, I killed myself in 3 practice days to prepare for this event, to prepare for any conditions that were going to be thrown at me. I want to fish. That's my perspective on it.
All right. So where do they go from here, Mike? What is the solution going forward? Do they go back? Do they cancel it? Do they try to go to a different venue? What's your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, Matt, you summed it up pretty good. It's going to be a tough rescheduling route for them. Looking at the dates and how things lay out, you throw into that guys' commitments. If you thought it was bad on Sabine, I had an issue I had to work through on the Sabines. Shaw Grigsby did. A lot of guys did. You're going to talk about those same issues 10 times, tenfold, because it's guys have stuff in the books. I mean, you're talking about, these guys, a professional body of anglers that make their living other ways as well, right? They book stuff. They have sponsor obligations. Labor Day week, you have family trips. Dude, it's going to be a scheduling nightmare. I don't know how you do it. I don't know. I mean, for me, I think you'd have to look at right before the AOI championship event. And I know, Matt, you rattled off that there was an event there. I think they have, if they're going to do it, they have to look at closer to that week and reschedule the Open. I don't know, man. They got an uphill battle here on rescheduling it. I have no idea when they would do it. I can't figure it out. By the way, this disclaimer: August 30th through September 4th, I will not be able to make it. So if anybody has any pull in making decisions watching right now, please do not schedule it August 30th through September 4th. Thank you very much.
Is that the week following the St. Lawrence River?
It is the week.
Yeah.
Is this the wildest year as far as just scheduling and how the fisheries have laid out with the fluctuating water? You got the jumping carp. You got the 2 tournaments canceled, rescheduled. You can't fish. You got the show coming out. Is this your craziest year that you've ever seen?
Oh, is it my craziest year?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. This has been a crazy year. Let me tell you this. In 20 years of doing it professionally, and it's a long time, I see things going on right now that I've never seen happen. And I don't know, is it just crazy coincidence that it happened this year? Is it a changing of the guard? I've seen it kind of coming on the last few years. I'm going to tell you this, and I say this sort of knowing stuff and not knowing stuff. This sport needs a shakeup right now. We need a change. We need a lightning rod. This sport needs something right now. It needs a big shakeup. It needs something to happen to re-energize it right now. I really feel like something big needs to happen to get this sport moving back in the right direction. And I think you're going to see something happen soon. That's going to be a really positive thing for the sport in the long run. I think we're going to look back 20 years from now. We're going to look back at 2018, and we're going to see this as a defining year where big changes are coming. I'm excited about the positive changes you're going to see coming in hopefully 2019 and forward.
All right.
I mean, that's a good segue into Fish My City, because that is a big change, a big announcement. So
yeah. I'm very excited. Hold on, let me look at their sound. Do they have sound effect stuff back here? They have these, just like a real studio would have like actual sound effects on a keyboard.
Yeah.
And got like these stupid like little. Here you go. I found one. I'm like Jacob Wheeler. I'm giving myself a round of applause.
Wow.
Yeah. No, Fish My City, man. I'm so excited. Mark, because I was kind of, we had, we're tight, but this was hard to hold in for all this time. I've actually known about this since last fall. To give you an exact date, the week of the Lake St. Clair event last year. Matt, I know you're a numbers guy. You come up with this week exactly. I knew about the start of this way back then. Seemed like forever ago. So this excitement on this project has been building up in me all this time, and to finally get the green light from NatGeo Wild to be able to talk about it, I'm so excited. Man, this is, reaching people through a new venue, a new route, a new outlet. That's always what my business model's been about. And this is kind of the golden goose for me, reaching people spreading the word about fishing through a non-fishing place is the ultimate dream for me. And it's such an exciting opportunity. Fish My City is a show about going to cities all over the world, not just the United States, it's very exciting, all over the world, going to these cities, these urban centers, where most people don't even believe anything alive swims in these waterways. Rivers, streams, lakes, ponds, reservoirs. They cross these places every day, and they look down and they think they're dirty and polluted, and there's nothing alive in these places. Going to these cities all around the world, uncovering what lives in these places, and doing this thing that we're calling the bucket list. And this is great because in each city, I've got 3 different species that I'm trying to catch. And this was when we were concocting the idea of the show way back during the Lake Sinclair event. This was a real important element for me because I want to go to these cities, and I don't want to go there and just have this laid back attitude of, yeah, man, we're going to be here for 2 weeks and whatever bites. That'd be a cool show, but I'm challenging myself. I have 5 days to catch these 3 species in all these cities I'm going to. And these are, I'm talking about not just bass. These are freshwater, saltwater, multi-species, places like 2 of the cities that you'll see, London and Taiwan. Dude, these are weird species. 3-eyed fish. They're not 3-eyed fish, but, they're crazy things you've never seen before. And I have to try to figure out how to catch them and fulfill this bucket list. It's a really cool show. It's you throw in a little bit of the travel. You sprinkle in a tidbit of the history of the city. You sprinkle in a lot of facts about the nature and the wildlife and the environment. It is NatGeo, right? So you sprinkle in some of that. And it's an hour-long story. That's the best way I can describe it. People listening and watching the show right now, they're trying to imagine what it is. Imagine the old City Limits show with more of a story and more time to develop that story. It's an hour-long show. Each show is an adventure. You're going to see some ups. You're going to see some downs. You're going to see fish caught. You're going to see fish lost. And it's real. I mean, the thing I love about NatGeo Wild and the production team that I work with is they really captured what happened, and not taking anything away from any of the other shows on TV right now. But none of this is staged. This is real. You're going to see real life. You're not going to see success in every show. You're going to see the ups and downs. You're going to see real stuff. There are other shows out there on other mainstream networks, and you have adventurers. You have true adventurers that do a little bit of fishing. In this show, in Fish My City, I promise you're going to see a fisherman fishing on an adventure. It's turned the other way. So I'm excited about it, man. It's October 12th, NatGeo Wild, Fish My City with Mike Iaconelli. If you like City Limits, you're going to love this show, I promise you.
I am a big fan of press releases. There's a lot of press releases, and they're all boring. And I gotta tell you, right now, leading the way as far as exciting press releases is Bill Lowen and Skylar Hamilton, whoever writes the Express press releases. Remember?
Yeah.
We had a whole show just about how crazy those press releases were. But whoever wrote the Fish My City press release with the description of the 6 challenges, the 5-day challenges that Ike faces, is given the Express PR guy a run for his money.
I was badass.
Let me just hit you with a couple. So in the first one, you're fishing for a fearsome predator that will devour birds. In the second one, you're fishing for the fastest fish in living history. In the third one, you are fishing for drain-dwelling monsters that originally escaped from fish farms. And a true monster with shark-like teeth and a reputation for biting its prey clean in half. You are also fishing for a fearsome prehistoric predator that can grow up to 10 feet in length. And then you are going to close out the season fishing for a fish that is so rare it is found nowhere else on the planet, and the most secretive fish in the history of the universe.
Wow. Those descriptors are unbelievable. Round of applause for the publicist to put that together. Round of applause.
That was really, really good, Ike. All right, I want to ask you this: Can you talk about how this whole thing came about? Did they approach you? Did you approach them? How did this whole thing go down?
Yeah, it's been a lot of work, and when you're playing this game of trying to develop something and bring sort of something back that you were really proud of and something that you love to do, it's not easy. And for Becky and I, it's been years in the making to get this concept on TV. I literally since City Limits went away, which years and years ago, we've been working directly or indirectly to bring this concept to TV. And it's all timing, man. It's all timing. It's all life. Mark, Matt, things happen at the right time or things happen at the wrong time. It affects the outcome of your life. It's funny how that highway turns one way or whatever. And finally it came together. So, we've been working at this for a long time. Going Ike, which is still alive and well. It's going to turn it more into a YouTube kind of project, was a real catalyst for this show. One of the episodes of Going Ike that we shot in New York City kind of caught the eye of someone from NatGeo. They were looking to do some more fishing type programming. It was, again, all the right time. They were down in D.C. We scheduled a meeting. I hopped on a train, and the next thing we're shooting a pilot on the Potomac River, and that went well. And and it's just that kind of thing where it snowballed. And I think this concept of, a fish out of water, fishing in places where you don't expect to catch fish, I think it's something everybody will relate to, everybody will appreciate. It's more than just a fishing show. You're going to see things that, if your grandma in Minnesota has never fished a lick in her life, I think she's going to like the show. It's that kind of show that's got a lot of different elements. So the timing was great. The timing worked. Here, let me tell you this, though. TV is very fickle. I know that. At the end of the day, people have to sincerely like this show. They have to genuinely enjoy the show. If not, it'll get bad ratings, and you'll see 6 episodes and you'll never see it again. That's the reality of TV. I believe in this project. I worked so hard, and so did the whole production team, NatGeo, everyone worked so hard at this. I can't imagine this failing. I put my heart and soul into it. I think people will see that. But, man, if it does only last 6 shows, it was a great opportunity. So thankful for having it. But I really see this as being a turning point for me in my career, in my life. This is what I would love to do for many years ahead. For the next 10 years, I could see myself doing this project. I've had so much fun, and Matt, we've talked about this. I've had so much fun doing this, fishing for other fish. It's so refreshing. It's actually revived me in my love for the sport of fishing. When I got into it as a kid, it wasn't about tournament fishing. I can remember being a kid with my uncle and my grandfather. It was about fishing. It was about figuring out that puzzle. What do I need to change to catch that fish? Whatever it was. When I was little, it was bluegill and trout, an occasional catfish, and then the bass bug hit me. But I've got back to that. This show has allowed me to get back to learning, fishing new things, experiencing new things. It's made me feel young again. It's refreshed my love for the sport of fishing. And I think this show is going to be able to, again, reach people and show them that they can fish. It's so easy for them to start this sport and engage in the sport of fishing. And that's what I want to do, man. I really, really want to engage in this and help people. I want to help people learn how to fish all over the world,
Man, out of the 6 shows, which one's your favorite?
Well, the 6 shows, I'd have to tell you, I can't answer that directly. I'd have to say the 2 international episodes I think would be at the top of the list because it really gets you outside of your element. Take Taipei, Taiwan, for example. You're in a country that is so different. culture, religion, food, language. Imagine being thrown into a country for 12 days and most people don't speak the language. They don't speak English, right? You have to learn to speak Taiwanese. You have to understand, I mean, those things to me, they were exciting. They were new. These are opportunities that I would have never had in my life had it not been for the show. So, those ones where you're fishing in a weird, strange place for something you've never fished for before, they're the ones I really like. But, you look at New York City, look at Miami, New Orleans. These are very iconic cities that I really, really had a good time catching stuff that you just won't believe lives in the city. Can't wait till you see the show. Can't wait.
All right. Now, when you were in Taiwan, what did you fish in? Were you in a canoe, a boat? What was it?
Yeah. So the great thing, again, and I think people are going to relate to the fact that this isn't like this fancy setup thing that, they didn't import my bass cat all over the world, and I'm not fishing off of multi-million-dollar yachts. Dude, we literally fish the way that you fish wherever you're at. So in Taiwan, a lot of what we fished in were very rudimentary style boats, a lot of bank fishing. We fished out of sort of a beat up saltwater skiff, one of the bucket list fish. We fished out of a inflatable dinghy in one of the species. Yeah, wait till you see that one. And then of course in a lot of these cities, street fishing. People call it street fishing, people call it urban angling, whatever you want to call it. Is a lot of what we do in some of these cities. And that to me is great again because it's getting back to my roots. I sling on my Flambeau backpack. I've got my Ike Series Abu Garcia rods, 3-piece travel rods in a little rod tube, and that's it. And it's like hand-to-hand combat. It's you traversing these amazing city elements, trying to get to the fish, trying to land the fish. You're packing light, so you're having to modify on the water. I mean, dude, it captures what fishing is really all about. You're going to see a lot of just bank fishing in the show as well.
If you think about it, he's kind of the original YouTube guy, not on YouTube, but what a lot of the kids are watching these days with all these guys who are throwing on a backpack and going to a pond and watching it. Ike was doing that with his show, before these kids were born, and that was kind of what generated that whole interest.
Yeah, I'm the original Guggen. I'm more like the Goonies from the 80s. Not the Guggen, the Goonie.
Absolutely. Mike, I'm curious. We've talked about a ton of stuff from a mental perspective when it comes to tournament angling, but this project, how much difficulty was there in trying to stay focused on the task at hand on the Elite Series with what you had going on with this project?
Yeah, it was good and bad. It was good and bad. And the good, I already hit a little bit, which is the good was I was constantly fishing, engaged in the sport of fishing. So whether I was in London or Taiwan or, Austin, Texas, wherever I was at, even though I wasn't fishing for bass, I was fishing. I was casting. I was making decisions. I was using a lot of the same, tools that you use at a tournament almost every day. So that was good. You're engaged, you're practicing sort of. The bad was the immense amount of travel and, the fact that it wasn't all fishing. Most of these shows were 10 to 12 day shoots and only 5 of the days were fishing. The other days were, stand-up days, exploring the city, B-roll, all these things that I had to learn about that I, really didn't know about. And that's a lot of work, And then the travel itself, when you're on 18-hour flights and you're in 3 different cities in the course of 4 or 5 days before an event. And on most of these shows, I filmed during the breaks of the elite events. So I think it did wear me down a little bit, and you saw that in my performance a little bit. It started to pick up toward the end of the year when I slowed down the actual travel. So, it may have affected me a little bit negatively in the beginning from a travel and a work standpoint, but from a fishing standpoint, man, I can tell you, I feel like I'm making better decisions I've ever made in my life. Dude, I've never, and I'm going to brag a little bit on myself. I've never had the accuracy in casting that I have today, right now, at this point in my life. And again, that's just repetition. It's like anything, man. And I'm casting better than I've ever cast in my life right now. And all that helps, man. You know, it helps when you get out in the water and you put that jig right where it needs to be every time versus it takes you 3 times to do it. You're more efficient, you know?
Would you have caught him this week?
I think let me say this. I think I would have caught enough fish to have a really good event. And I don't know if that means 5 a day that weighs 13 pounds or if that meant 3 that weighed 6 to 8. But I think I would have had a good event, and I could have had the kind of event that really propelled me up in the standings. It would have been a shake-up tournament for sure, because you would have saw guys in the top 30 2 days in a row, and that's a shake-up, you know. I think I would have had a good event. And again, I'm not saying I don't want to say that meant 18 to 20 pounds a day, which we would have caught if the conditions were stable. But you know, 3 at 6. Three fish at 6.5 pounds, 3 fish at 8 pounds each day, dude. You're having a great event. You're having a great event. So I think I would have had a good event, and I actually feel bad. I tell you who I feel bad for in the standings are the guys that needed a big event. You know, those guys that are from the 60s to the 80s. I feel bad for them because this was the kind of event where you could make up ground, right? You know, now it's going to be tough. Thousand Islands, dude, everybody bails on them, Thousand Islands, really, right? It's going to be hard for guys to make up ground at Thousand Islands. Rescheduled event at Chesapeake, you might be able to have a makeup, but this week, if it would have played out, you would have saw a guy in the 70s have a top 10 finish and make up some massive amounts of ground and be right in the mix again for, you know, to make that top 50 AOY tournament.
Mike, I'm curious, when you went internationally, when you went to London and Taiwan, did people over there know who Mike Iaconelli was?
You know, it's funny. I would say in general, I would say no. But there were some hardcore anglers over there. In Taiwan, they have a group over there a group of anglers that fish those waters, and they're hardcore fishermen, and they did. And you know, in London, I ran into some guys who were mainly what they call predator fishermen, so perch and pike and zander, and they did. But outside of that, no, that they didn't. You get a lot of, in any city you go to, whether it's international or here in the States, you get a lot of funny looks from a lot of people when you're walking around with a fishing rod in your hand in the city. You really, really do get a lot of strange looks, and then you throw in some of those man on the street interviews, and you're asking people, hey man, where can I go catch a fish? Dude, they're looking at you like you're an alien. They're looking at you like you're a strange, crazy person. So it was nice. It was nice to just fish free, fish off the cuff, do my thing, and have fun,
Dude, you've done a bunch of projects. Was this your best and funnest project you've ever done?
I would say, to give you a giant plug, Mark, I would say outside of 20 feet deep, I would say this. And honestly, that was a fun project. Thank you for letting me do the first one. This was an amazing project. It was a ton of work. I would get back to the hotel rooms at night exhausted. Like, I know people are thinking, oh my God, you're in these cool places, you're partying. No, man. No, dude. You get back to the room, you hit the bed, it's done. You're smoked. It was a lot of work, but man, I had so much fun. The adventures, the bucket list. Seriously, I think there was like 7 or 8 of the species that we caught were new species for me. I got to catch them so many new ways. European style carp fishing, kite fishing. All these things I've heard about, never really experienced, I've got to learn and try. So it was fun. And dude, at the end of the day, I learned a ton, which is another big thing for me, whether this show makes it 1 season or 10. I learned so much about creating a story, you know, and I dabble with it on Going Ike. Going Ike, I was the editor, producer, director. I did everything. I passed it on to really talented guys like Hunter Shyrock and the cast crew guys up in Chicago, and they made it look good. But you know, for me, it was great to learn the process of creating a beautiful story, from the cameras to the settings to, you know, how to shoot in the dark to, you know, delivering lines, you know, to, I mean, how to deliver a line, like all this stuff, lighting, you know, setting up, getting permits. I mean, dude, there's so much that goes into the making of one of these shows. It's unbelievable. And it was so nice. I can't thank everyone enough. I know I don't imagine anybody from the production team is watching right now. But if they are, and if they go back and listen to this show, man, thank you guys for you know, really going the extra mile. You know, there was so many amazing things that those guys taught me, and the friendships I developed there are going to last a lifetime. And it was amazing. Great experience.
All right, one last question, and then we'll let you go. I'm curious, can you talk about some of the baits that you use to catch some of these fish? Were they crazy stuff? Is it stuff that people have never seen before? I mean, kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the baits, and I keep getting back to it, but this was real life. So I would get to a lot of these places, and whatever the methods that they use there to catch these species, I was all in. You know, I definitely tried to bring my artificial game into capturing a lot of these species. So you're going to see bass rods, bass tackle, and bass lures used to catch a lot of these species that were not bass. Topwaters, swim baits, soft plastics, jigs. They work for other species in other countries and cities all over the world, just like they do in bass tournaments. But you're also going to see a lot of strange stuff, Mark. You're right. You're going to see a lot of live bait. You're going to see a lot of cut bait. Nothing was off limits to me. I wanted the show to be real. I didn't want anything to be staged. So if I got somewhere and the guy was fishing with a dead roach with a treble hook in his back thrown out there, I was fishing with it. You're going to see. And one of the episodes we used to catch a new bucket list fish for me, that's this amazing creature. I can't tell you, it was one of the best fights I ever had in my life. You ready for this? I used Spam. That's right. That's right. I know all you old school Redman guys, the BFLs, the old Redman guys, you remember at pre-registration for Redman tournaments, you'd get a free can of Spam. So you know what Spam is. We used Spam to catch this fish. We used live bait. We trolled. We flipped. We still fished. We used bite sensors. We fished all night. We fished all day. You're gonna see every method of fishing. You know, and again, it's real. And you know, one of the beauties of the show that I skipped over is at each place for each species, we met a local guy. He was a local fisherman, a local guide. He was an old man of the sea that's fished in this whole life. He was a young, hip street fisherman. And you're going to see these characters be part of the story as well. And I got to interact with these guys and, again, learn. I was the student, man. It was nice. It was nice to not have the pressure of being the expert. I was not the expert. I'm a bass fisherman that got to go to these places and meet these guys and learn how to catch these new fish. And you're going to see that come through. I think people are going to love it.
All right, man. October 12th, correct? Friday, October 12th, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time on NatGeo Wild. Can't wait, man.
Yes, it's going to be a great show. Hope everybody tunes in. You're going to see a lot more little tidbits coming in the next 2 or 3 months. You're going to see some little sizzle clips. It's going to give you even a bigger flavor to what you're going to see. So I hope everybody tunes in and hope they enjoy it.
All right. From what I understand, Ike Live tomorrow night. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, hot off the presses. Man, a lot of big announcements being made in your show for the first time right now.
Yeah.
This coming Saturday, either 6 or 7, we got to talk to Brian the Carpenter on that one. This Saturday night, a special Off the Cuff Ike Live with special guest James Elam from your neck of the woods. It's going to be here in studio. And we're going to be talking to James about what's going on with him and his career. And we're going to dive even a little bit more into the cancellation, Mark. And we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into that as well. It's going to be a good show.
All right, man. Sounds great. We'll get that set up. And as always, dude, I can't thank you enough for all the support. And I'm happy for you and Becky. This is an awesome, awesome project. And I can't wait to see it, man.
Thank you. Two things real quick. Everybody that didn't watch the 20 Feet Deep with Robert Hamilton, you're crazy. Watch that thing. It's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. The other thing I want to say real quick, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to say goodbye in Taiwanese, since one of our episodes was in Taiwan, and then I'm going to let you go.
All right.
And thank everybody for tuning in.
All righty, there you have it. Mike Iaconelli signing off in Taiwanese.
A lot to digest over the past hour and 43 minutes.
It's a long show. I told you it was going to be a long show, dude. But very excited to see what he's rolling out on this. I know him and Becky have worked their absolute tails off in getting this thing going. And, I mean, this is big time. I don't know if NatGeo will have some kind of watch party or
I just wonder,
debut.
you know, have you been, during your Dr. Pole episode, seen any promos
I haven't
for it
seen
yet,
any promos yet. I checked the NatGeo Wild website yesterday. Didn't see.
But it just came out.
Yeah.
I mean, July 25th. So was when the press release came out.
Yeah. Wow. Ike had some interesting comments, didn't he?
You can go back and re-listen to that, several portions of it, and glean some interesting information out of it.
Yeah. Good show, man. Good show. So thank you once again to Mike for coming on, and then also Boyd Duckett giving us his take on what's going down. So what are you going to do now with a free weekend?
I am going to go watch a horse run around barrels tonight, and then I'm going fishing.
Where are you going?
I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm going to look at the weather. I'm going to look and see if there's any open derbies. Might just go try to catch a big one at Dripping Springs.
All right.
I'm not sure.
Weather's supposed to be good here, man.
Yeah. It's good today. You could have caught them on a topwater.
Yeah. You know, I still haven't thrown a topwater all year long. It's going to happen soon.
There you go.
It's going to happen soon. All right, everybody. Great show. We will be back on Tuesday.
Regularly scheduled
9 a.m.
programming.
And we also have the announcement. We're going to do the draw and assignment live for the one-on-one live Jean LaRue Lake Challenge that's going to take place on Wednesday.
Sounds good.
All right, we have our 4 competitors that are going to go heads up against the lake and try and win $2,500. So we'll do that on the show Tuesday. Also, hey, let's try and get somebody else to get their take on anything that they might have when it comes to the Elite Series.
Mm-hmm. Also probably dive a little bit into Forest Wood Cup preview.
Yes.
Coming up in about a week and a half, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
On Lake Ouachita. So maybe get someone on to talk about their plans to try to win $300,000 in the big Silver Cup.
All right.
In Hot Springs.
There you have it, folks. We'll see you on Tuesday. Everybody stay tuned.